Have you ever heard about the guy who sold the Eiffel Tower?
Sold the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, like as in the actual Eiffel Tower in Paris.
Well, I mean, that sounds pretty impossible.
Well, yeah, it is impossible.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this story so unbelievable.
So you're saying someone actually pulled that off?
Oh, yeah. And not just once.
Yeah.
This guy, he sold it twice.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. And the man behind this absolutely audacious scheme, his name was Victor Lustig.
Victor Lustig.
Victor Lustig, yeah. And this guy, he was a notorious con man.
I'm already intrigued.
Like, imagine this. Okay, this is Paris, 1925. You've got the Eiffel Tower.
Okay. Yeah.
Still kind of new, right?
Yeah.
Only 38 years old at that point.
Yeah, that's not that old for like a huge structure.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Back then, it wasn't the beloved icon it is today.
Really?
Yeah, some Parisians, they actually saw it as kind of an eyesore.
Wow, so different from today.
Right. And there were even like rumors in the newspapers, about how much it cost to maintain.
Uh-huh.
And even some talk about possibly taking it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you've got this like background of doubt about the Eiffel Tower's future.
Okay, I see.
And that's where Victor Lustig, he sees an opportunity.
So he's using the public's uncertainty to his advantage.
Exactly. He's a master at reading the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we're going to do in this deep dive is try and understand how Lustig pulled this off.
How he convinced people to buy the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, like what were his methods?
Yeah.
And how did he make it believable?
I mean, this is the Eiffel Tower we're talking about. How do you even begin to convince someone they can buy that?
Right. It's like mind-boggling. And then he did it twice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So let's start with how he set the stage for this audacious scheme.
Okay, so the first thing Lustig did was he had to make himself look legit.
Like official.
Yeah, exactly. He needed to project an image of authority.
Okay, so how did he do that?
Well, he started with the basics, official-looking stationery.
Stationery.
Yeah, like letterheads and envelopes, with what looked like a government seal.
Oh, wow. So he's really trying to create that illusion.
Absolutely. It was all about appearances.
And then where did he set up shop, so to speak?
Well, he chose the Hôtel de Crillon.
Okay, and that's
one of the most prestigious hotels in Paris.
So like a place where important people would stay.
Exactly. He wanted to be associated with that level of power and influence.
That's smart. And
from there, he introduced himself as the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, a very official-sounding title.
It definitely sounds important.
Exactly, and that was the whole point.
So now he's got the look right with the stationery and the fancy hotel.
Right.
And he's got this impressive-sounding title.
What's next?
Well, now he's got to find some buyers.
I guess so, but how do you even find someone who'd believe they could buy the Eiffel Tower?
Well, he targeted a very specific group.
Yeah.
Scrap metal dealers.
Scrap metal dealers?
Yeah, he sent out invitations to a bunch of them in Paris for a confidential meeting at his hotel.
I see. So he's already creating this air of secrecy?
Oh, absolutely. This is all very hush-hush.
And what did he say to them at this meeting?
Okay, so picture this. You're a scrap metal dealer, right? Mm-hmm. You get this invitation to this fancy hotel for a secret meeting.
Okay, yeah.
And then Lustig, he lays it all out.
That he's selling the Eiffel Tower.
Yep. The government, he says, is planning to dismantle it and sell it for scrap.
Wow, just like that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's costing too much to maintain. There are these structural issues. And then there are some, political reasons that he can't really talk about.
So he's playing on their sense of, exclusivity and patriotism.
Exactly. He's making them feel like they're in the know.
Yeah.
Like they're part of something big and secret.
I can see how that would be appealing.
And he doesn't stop there. He goes on to tell them that they were specifically chosen for this opportunity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of their reputation for honesty and their standing in the industry.
So he's flattering them.
Oh, yeah. Big time. He's playing to their egos.
That's clever.
And to really sell it, he sprinkles in these little details about the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, like what?
Like he might mention the debate about its aesthetics or, the high cost of upkeep.
So he's making it seem like he's really familiar with the situation.
Exactly. He's like an insider,
Right.
And among these, there was one guy, André Poisson.
André Poisson.
Yeah. He was relatively new to the scene.
Okay.
And he was really ambitious, eager to make a name for himself.
So Lustig saw him as an easy target.
Well, yeah, Lustig was a master at spotting vulnerabilities.
And how did he reel Poisson in?
Well, he started by cultivating a relationship with him, making Poisson feel like he was being mentored by this high-ranking government official.
Oh, Oh, wow. So he's really playing the long game here.
Oh, yeah, and then he takes Poisson on a trip to Bordeaux.
Bordeaux? What for?
Oh, some urgent government business related to the tower, he says.
Of course.
All part of the con, right?
Yeah, but this trip, it must have had a big impact on Poisson.
Oh, totally. It solidified that trust,
Yeah, makes sense.
So after all this, Poisson is completely convinced.
He believes he can actually buy the Eiffel Tower.
And he agrees to pay a huge sum of money for it. 1.2 million francs.
1.2 million francs?
Yeah.
That's a fortune.
It is.
And Lustig just walks away with it.
Not quite. There's one more thing.
What else could there be?
Well, after securing this huge sum of money, Lustig then turns to Poisson, and he's like, as a humble government official, I could really use a little something extra to make sure this deal goes through smoothly.
He asked for a bribe.
A bribe, yeah, 70,000 francs.
Wow. So after 1.2 million, he still asks for more?
Oh, yeah, and here's the thing. By asking for a bribe, Lustig actually makes himself more believable.
What? How?
Well, it plays into that whole stereotype of corrupt officials, right?
Oh, I see. So it confirms Poisson's suspicions.
Exactly. Poisson probably thinks he's in on the game,
Yeah, like he's getting away with something.
Right. And so he pays the bribe, no questions asked.
Unbelievable.
So Lustig gets his money, and he disappears. He flees to Austria.
And Poisson. Yeah.
Well, he's too embarrassed to go to the police.
I can only imagine the humiliation.
Right. So he keeps quiet, and Lustig gets away with it.
With selling the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is. And you know what the craziest part is?
What?
Lustig. He tries to do it again.
He tries to sell the Eiffel Tower again.
Yeah, the same year he goes back to Paris.
Wow. He's either incredibly confident or incredibly stupid.
I mean, a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah.
So he finds a new group of scrap metal dealers.
And he tells them the same story.
Yeah, the government's selling the Eiffel Tower for scrap. It's all very hush-hush.
You'd think people would be onto him by now.
Right. But he almost pulls it off again.
Really?
Yeah, he finds another buyer who's willing to pay for the tower.
This guy was good.
He was, but this time, one of the dealers gets suspicious.
Oh, so he didn't fool everyone this time.
No. This dealer, he starts asking questions. And eventually he goes to the police.
Ah, that's what Poisson should have done.
Exactly. And with the police on his tail, Lustig, he has to flee again.
Where'd he go this time?
America.
America?
Yeah, he escapes to the U.S.
Wow. So he goes from selling the Eiffel Tower to escaping to America.
The man lived a crazy life.
He did. And his cons, they weren't limited to just the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, no. He had a whole repertoire of scams.
Like,
Well, one of his most famous was the Romanian money box.
what's that?
So this box is supposedly duplicated money.
Duplicated money.
Yeah, you put a $100 bill in, wait 6 hours, and you get $200 bills out.
That's impossible.
Exactly. But Lustig, he was so convincing.
How did he pull that off?
He'd give these elaborate demonstrations.
Mhm.
He'd let people inspect the box, make sure there were no tricks. And then he'd put in a real $100 bill, close it up, and wait.
And 6 hours later, there'd be $200 bills.
Yeah, of course, the whole thing was rigged, but people believed it.
Wow, he really knew how to play people.
Oh, yeah. And then there was that time he conned Al Capone,
Al Capone, the mobster.
the one and only.
How do you con Al Capone?
Well, Lustig, he went to Capone and asked him for a $50,000 investment.
Okay.
He said he was going to double it.
And Capone just gave it to him.
Well, yeah, Capone was intrigued,
Makes sense.
So Lustig takes the money, and he holds on to it for 2 months.
Oh, okay.
Then he goes back to Capone, and he says, look, the deal fell through, but here's your $50,000 back.
He returned the money?
Yep, every penny.
Wow.
Capone was so impressed by Lustig's honesty, that he gave him $5,000 just for being a stand-up guy.
So he conned Capone by being honest.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's wild.
Right. And then Lustig, he got into counterfeiting.
Counterfeiting?
Yeah, like printing fake money.
Oh, wow. So he really upped the ante.
He did. And his operation, it got so big that it actually started to threaten the American economy.
Really?
Yeah, they say the Secret Service was like obsessed with catching him.
So what happened? Did they catch him?
Oh, yeah, they eventually did.
Ew.
Well, Lustig, he made one big mistake. He got a mistress.
A mistress.
Yeah, and she got jealous and ratted him out to the feds.
Oh, wow. Talk about a downfall.
Right. But even after he was arrested, he still managed to escape.
Escape from prison?
Yeah, from federal detention. He used bed sheets as a rope and disguised himself as a window cleaner.
This guy was like a real-life Houdini.
I know, right? But they caught him again, eventually, in Pittsburgh.
And then what?
They sent him to Alcatraz.
Alcatraz. Wow, so he ended up in the most notorious prison in America.
He did, and he died there a few years later from pneumonia.
So that's the end of Victor Lustig, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, the man who conned his way through life.
It's an incredible story.
It really is. And you know what's crazy?
What?
We still don't know his real name.
You're kidding?
Nope. He used so many aliases that his true identity is still a mystery.
Wow, so even in death, he's still conning us.
Maybe so.
So what do you think we can learn from Victor Lustig's story?
Well, I think it's a reminder that no matter how unbelievable something sounds, there's always a chance it could be true.
Yeah, and that we should always be a little bit skeptical, you know?
Absolutely question everything.
And don't be afraid to ask questions even if it seems like everyone else is buying into something.
Because sometimes the most outlandish stories are the ones that turn out to be real.
Just like the story of the man who sold the Eiffel Tower.
Victor Lustig, a true master of deception.
A legend in the world of con artists.
And a reminder that sometimes reality is stranger than fiction.
You got that right.
So, what do you think was the most audacious part of Lustig's Eiffel Tower con?
I think it's a toss-up between his audacity in even attempting it in the first place.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he actually pulled it off not once but twice.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
And it makes you wonder,
What's that?
what other seemingly impossible things might be happening right under our noses?
That's a good question.
Yeah, things that we just dismiss as too crazy to be true.
Maybe we need to be a little more open to the possibility of the impossible.
Just like Victor Lustig.
Just like Victor Lustig.